In this video, we're going to give you a no-fluff explanation on what the best lead generation tools are. Now, as a disclaimer, this video mentions 2024 because it was recorded in late 2024 and is being posted in early 2025, but these are still tools we are using and love. Now, for this video, my business partner Felipe will be going through each of them, explaining their use cases and also associated costs. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Thanks for the introduction, as always, and in today's video, we're going to talk about the 5 best lead generation tools of 2024 based on our experience crafting, generating, and launching a few millions of leads this year in our cold email agency DFY meetings. Now, in this video, I'm not only going to tell you what were the best tools for us, but I'm going to make it relatable to you. How can you best utilize these tools? Now, when I say that, let me tell you the things that I'm keeping into consideration when I'm selecting the best lead gen tools that I'm recommending you in this video. So the number one thing that we'll be considering is going to be the budget and cost efficiency. Not everyone out there that will be watching this video will be able to take the tool or the tech stack that we use internally, leverage that, and pretty much get results, mainly because it's just too expensive. And therefore, I'm also considering tools that you can see in this video. You can get a subscription, get a bunch of leads, launch campaigns, and start getting some replies, okay? So that is my primary consideration when I'm recording this video. The next consideration that I have is pretty much industries that these tools will cover. So I'm not going to recommend a tool specifically on how to get realtors, right? I'm not going to get you a realtor generating lead gen tool, right? I'm going to tell you a tool that will get you leads in every industry out there. So you can actually get some good coverage and you can actually start getting some results from this video, no matter what industry you're in. Now, the next thing that I'm going to be looking at is the accuracy and quality of the data provided by this tool. So for instance, if I recommend you a tool and you are looking for realtors, does it actually deliver realtors or real estate marketing agencies, right? So that is something that I am keeping in mind, and I'll be sharing some notes on that as we go through this presentation today. Next, I'll be talking about coverage. How much data can you actually get out of these tools in order for you to succeed? Because one thing in cold email is for you to get very precise and narrow data, but another thing is just sending volume. And ideally, you'd have the best of both worlds, where you send very relevant, very targeted campaigns, but also at a very high scale with a lot of sending volume, meaning you can send a lot of emails, because then you're more likely to find one person out of the whole selection to actually reply to your email and show some interest, okay? So we always want to keep in mind not only how good can we get the data or how good the data is, but also how much data can we get at the end of the day, okay? Next, I'm going to tell you a little bit about legality, because a lot of tools, or not, actually, let me take a step back. Not a lot of tools, some tools will scrape data in illegal fashion, right? So illegal manners, things that we cannot truly recommend, we can't really use in our company in order to avoid a liability and get into some legal trouble. And therefore, those tools were removed from this video. I'm not going to be talking about those. I'll be talking to tools that, of the time of this recording, we have not found any issues with the legality of their scraping, okay? Bear in mind, it's quite important. Now, of course, always do your own research. Always check this type of thing. Make sure that you're doing legal actions whenever you're scraping this type of data. There are some ways that are not quite that legal. Now, next thing is going to be function. How much can you actually utilize these tools, and what functions do they perform in your lead generation process? Talking of which, let me present to you the 5 functions of lead generation, or the 5 steps of lead generation, in order that they have to be executed on for you to get the final result. So without further ado, let's jump straight into this one. Step number 1 of lead generation is going to be identifying the right companies. For instance, where are they located? What's their headcount? How many people work for them? What is their industry? How long they've been in business? And so forth. Those are things that you'll be filtering when you're trying to identify the right companies. You could also be filtering by the companies that they work with. You choose. Step 1 is identifying the companies. There are specific tools that will help you identify better companies with more accuracy and with a high coverage. And I'll tell you about those in a minute. Now, step 2 is going to be identifying the right contacts within those companies and get their contact info. Think of this way. How can you find the person in that company responsible for bringing you on board in case you want to start a partnership? And it isn't as obvious as people think. It's not just saying, oh, I want to talk to the decision makers. I want to talk to the CEO, founder, and whoever else is going to be at the very top, the chairman, right? But it's oftentimes not that easy. And oftentimes you find, depending on the industry that you're going after, depending on their headcount, depending on how long they've been in business, that those position titles will not even respond to you. And so you got to reach out to a director of partnerships, a head of partnerships, if you're in e-commerce, a director of e-commerce, and so forth, in order to find someone that can actually talk to you and bring you on board, okay? So keep that in mind as you're going through step 2 of identifying the right contact within those companies and getting their contact info in a legal manner. Step 3 is going to be validating the data that you got. Is this data actually legit? Meaning, is this email actually from this person? And if so, how accurate is the rest of the data that you have on this person, okay? That is step 3. Step 4 is cleaning the data, making sure that the data is actually usable in a cold email campaign. So what that looks like is actually the following. First, why is this thing on the screen? Okay, there we go. So for instance, imagine you were to send a cold email campaign and you were to send emails with the first name out of your list that were fully capitalized. Unless it was intentional that you wanted the emails to look like you were screaming at a person, which I don't recommend either way, you just literally signal to them that you have an automation, and on top of having an automation, you didn't spend the time to clean the data that you got. So if you send me an email with my name fully capitalized and it was intentional that you were trying to scream at me, I will very likely, 1, ignore your email, but 2nd, perhaps even report you as a spammer. Okay, so bear in mind, step 4 is cleaning the data and making sure it's usable in a cold email campaign, and it reads casual. It reads like you sat down and you wrote that down, okay? What are some examples? It would be mention the first name of the person you're contacting. I love these things from Apple here. So mention the first name of the person you're contacting. 2nd would be mention the company name. 3rd could be the position title. 4th could be the country, and so forth. And if you use any of those types of data, you should be formatting it properly so you can actually launch it in a cold email campaign. And step 5 of lead generation, which is absolutely optional, is enriching extra data, meaning you're getting more information about the people or the company to mention in the scripts to make it pretty much more relevant. For instance, what could you mention that would make it more relevant? You could mention a colleague name in the cold email script. You could say, hey, Felipe, let me know if I should be talking to you or Michael instead about your accounting efforts in 2024. And that will make it a lot more relevant. Another thing you could do in terms of getting extra information is previous position titles of the people you're contacting. So, hey, Felipe, given that you were a previous founder of X, Y, and Z company, how do you feel nowadays being CMO at X, Y, and Z company, right? I know that the example didn't sound right. You wouldn't talk to someone that was a founder and now turned into a CMO, but it is sometimes an angle that we do play in different scenarios. I'm not going to exactly go in depth on here, but that is an example of extra data that you can leverage in your cold email campaigns. Again, not the example that I've just given you, okay? But without further ado, let's actually jump into the exact tools that you can leverage on your day-to-day lead generation efforts in order to get the best results. And the first one is, and you probably guessed this one, Apollo.io. Apollo.io is a fantastic tool. It has immense coverage. And I put here a note, don't skip the video, I'm sharing advanced uses. Because a lot of people, when they see Apollo, they're like, another person talking about Apollo. Okay, here we go. But I'm actually going to tell you a few advanced uses of Apollo and how we use it to filter pretty much our leads in our company. So, first of all, Apollo is fantastic for step 1 and 2, which is identifying the right companies and find the right people inside those companies. That is what we primarily use it for. We don't necessarily get our emails from here, but if you are starting lead generation, you're on a tight budget, Apollo is a tool I'd recommend for you to get to do the A to Z of lead generation. It's a tool I'd recommend for you to identify the right companies, find the right people in those companies, extract the data of those people, clean the data, and then you validate in another tool, which would be Million Verifier in this example. Not a tool I'm covering in this video, but just to give you an idea of what it looks like. Now, if you're curious about Apollo already, we recorded a full video on Apollo, how to use it in very advanced use cases. The link is going to be down below. But just to mention a little bit here, some advanced filters that we use. One is company name and SEO filtering. We love going into Apollo, going into keyword matching. So you go on include keywords per company, and then you match the keywords you want and the keywords you don't want. And the places you search for those keywords in are company name and in the SEO description. When you do that, you're more likely to end up with very, very good data. For instance, if I'm searching for realtors, I could say, search in all of these companies, which ones have the keyword realtor in the company name or have realtor in the SEO description at the same time that they don't have marketing in the company name or marketing in the SEO description. And now you're getting closer to what a good list is going to look like. And therefore, it is a strategy that I recommend, and I explain it much more in depth in the video that I linked down below, okay? Next thing in Apollo, the one thing you will struggle with a little bit is accuracy and freshness of the data. Meaning, sometimes you'll have data from a company that's due a year already. And so the company has already pivoted, it has rebranded, and Apollo still has their old data. I look at Apollo pretty much as a way of mirroring LinkedIn and being able to filter it in very advanced manners, but being aware that they may have mirrored LinkedIn a while ago. And so one filter I love using in Apollo is the freshness filter. So you can go in Apollo, more filters, you can choose data freshness, and I oftentimes only export data that has the freshness of a maximum of 1 year ago, okay? Meaning they have refreshed their data in the past year, okay? Not gonna go in much depth on this because it's covered in the video down below, but something I check for often. One more advanced filter that I had redacted just to make sure that you watch this part of the video and you actually got some value out of it is I love filtering by headcount growth by department or headcount by department. It helps us as a lead generation company to filter companies that have either a lot of SDRs or have just hired a lot of SDRs. And those campaigns tend to be fantastic for client acquisition for a B2B lead gen agency like ours. Which, by the way, if you're looking to start your own B2B lead gen agency, definitely check out the series that Michael is making on his channel. So go on his channel below, you find his picture, click on videos and watch those as well. They're pretty good. Now, next tool that we love utilizing is called FullEnrich. Now, FullEnrich does something very interesting. They do what is called a waterfall enrichment. A waterfall enrichment is pretty much taking a lot of vendors, prioritizing in a manner that you choose, and getting the data from all of the vendors at once. So imagine this. If you run your lead generation in Apollo, you don't find that much data in Apollo, in terms of emails, you can now take everyone you couldn't find an email for in Apollo and find the emails in Find Email, which, by the way, fantastic tool. We love Find Email. If you want to literally, if you're on a budget constraint and you want to just use one tool in order to get more emails than what you get from Apollo, use Find Email and check out the video that's going to be linked down below on how to use Find Email to its fullest. It's a fantastic tool. But for example, coming back to the waterfall enrichment method. So it would check Find Email for the data. If it couldn't find on Find Email, then it checks on Prospeo. Couldn't find on Prospeo, then it finds on Datagma. If couldn't find on Datagma, then it goes into IcyPeas. And so you're pretty much combining all of the lead generation tools in one place so that you can get a high coverage of email accounts that you get out of your list. So this tool right here is great for steps 2 and 3. Finding the right contacts for those people and validating the data and making sure that it's pretty good, okay? And that is done through the verification tool that's also included inside FullEnrich. I'll leave a link down below for you to check FullEnrich. Here is their pricing structure. By the way, I realized I didn't show you the pricing structure for Apollo. This is what it looks like nowadays in a monthly billing rate. We recommend oftentimes the professional plan. Now, in terms of FullEnrich, we also recommend the professional plan. This is what we used to use in the very beginning until we started scaling this a bit further. But it's a fantastic tool. It allows you to use pretty much all of the tools out there. Now, if you are on a budget constraint, once again, you want to consider getting individual subscriptions of every single one of these tools right here. So you get an individual subscription in Find Email and in Prospeo, for example. And from there, you got enough leads, you ran enough campaigns, you should have enough clients and the budget to then start using a tool such as FullEnrich to just get all of your data at once, okay? And the waterfall enrichment to happen all at once. Next, Clay. Of course, Clay had to be included in this video. We love Clay. Clay is fantastic. We recorded a video just on Clay that's in this channel, linked down below. It's very advanced. We actually recorded a few videos on Clay. And Clay is great because it does all of the steps as long as your budget allows. So on Clay, you pay per credit. And therefore, if you're on a budget constraint, it may not make sense for you to be using Clay right in the beginning. But as you scale things, as you want to be doing less and less manual efforts in order to get big lists and quality data, Clay becomes very, very handy. And so once again, it does all of the steps. It identifies companies. It helps you get the context because it connects with every single other tool in the market. Pretty much. Not all, but all of the good ones. And then it helps you validate this data, it helps you clean this data, and it helps you get extra merge fields for personalization or extra relevancy. And therefore, Clay had to make it to this list. It's a tool that we love, as long as it fits your budget. Strongly recommend checking it out, and strongly recommend checking out the videos down below, okay? Now, one quick note on Clay, just to make it very clear. You can pretty much make Clay perform anything online. You can make it find websites on Google. You can make it look on job boards. You can make it look on other databases to find companies. Then you can have it scrape with pretty much any tool like Find Email, IcyPeas, Datagma, Prospeo, and so forth. You can make it use all of those tools to get your data, right? It performs waterfall enrichments as well. So yes, Clay is a fantastic tool, and the pricing, once again, is here on the screen if you're curious to get an account on Clay. Strongly recommend if the budget allows. Next one. A tool that most people wouldn't think would make it to this list, but we are actually a massive fan of, which is Instantly's Lead Finder and Catch-all verification. And it is great for steps 2 and 3. So no, we don't actually use Instantly to identify the companies we want to go after. We found it to be somewhat inaccurate. As of this date, it might be better in the future, and I bet it will be. But as of this date, we don't use it for that. But we love getting a lot of URLs from, let's say, a directory online, scrape with the next two I'm going to tell you about. And then with the company URLs that I want to scrape, maybe even companies out of Apollo, I plug it into Instantly's lead finder to find the right people, get the right emails, and check for catch-all emails. Now, if you don't know what is a catch-all email, I strongly suggest, I know I said this so many times in this video, but I strongly suggest checking out the video down below that talks about email validation and verification and the stages of email validation: valid, catch-all or risky, and invalid. And so you have emails that are considered risky when you do your email verification, and those oftentimes you don't recommend reaching out to unless you had a way of validating that they actually work. And one way of actually validating those is through Instantly's lead finder. So it is a tool that made it to our list. We like it a lot, and here is what the pricing looks like. I'll show you the monthly plan. We would recommend the Supersonic Leads plan, okay? So just so you get enough leads, you can launch a campaign, get some good results, and then compare the data with what you had previously. Now, the main thing I will say about this is we found great coverage of emails when inputting the URLs, but the most used feature in our company is the catch-all verification tool. We found that other catch-all verification tools would leave us with like a usually higher than actually 2% bounce rate, but with Instantly's tools, so far we're finding less than 0.5% bounce rates. If you don't know what that means, please watch the video on email validation that's down below. It's going to explain it in a lot of depth. But Instantly definitely makes it to this list, and it's been a tool we've been using a lot. By the way, the catch-all verification feature was just released recently. So if you haven't heard of it, that's why. And that is also why I recommend you checking it out and giving it a try. Okay? Now, next. Fifth tool would be Octoparse, and Octoparse is great for step one, which is identifying the right companies out there. So you can pretty much scrape any directory or search engine with Octoparse. Think of Octoparse as a tool that can open pages and extract data. So let's say you're scraping a directory such as clutch.co, right? And you're scraping mobile app development companies. Octoparse is able to open page by page, open the site of this company, take out the reviews, take out their pretty much everyone they work with and whatnot out of this page, put it into a list that you can actually use for you to go ahead and plug those URLs into Instantly, into Apollo, into Find Email, and so forth to find the right contacts. So yes, Octoparse definitely makes it to our list. We use it very often in our company, and we tend to use it to scrape directories such as Trustpilot, such as Clutch, such as ThomasNet, okay? If you're curious about how to scrape those, there is a video also we recorded on that, and you guessed, the video is down below, okay? So Octoparse made it to the list. I wanted to also give you a few bonus upcoming tools that we're seeing some potential in, we've been using, but we haven't stress tested a lot, and therefore they're still as an upcoming tool that most people haven't heard of. So tool number one is PandaMatch, and PandaMatch has a very cool feature that used to be only done well by a tool called Ocean, which is pretty much lookalike data. I can go into PandaMatch and I can plug in a URL of a dream company that I want to work with, and it will find companies that are very, very similar. It will create a lookalike list. And in order for you to get PandaMatch, you do gotta jump on a call with their sales team. But it's a tool that we've been using. We're getting some good success, specifically for local B2B lead generation. So if you're searching for chiropractors, lawyers, companies that sell physical products and those, it's been great. It hasn't been great for us with anything related to SaaS or agencies, right? If you plug our own website there, we haven't found it to have a very high match rate, but it's something they're working on. I'm pretty sure they're gonna fix it. And for local markets, it's been fantastic. We've been using it quite a bit lately, and we think it's an upcoming tool. As long as they don't mess it up anytime soon, it's gonna be a great tool soon as well. The next tool is Grata, or Grata, however you'd call this tool, right? So their pricing information is right here, and Grata is a tool that we use to pretty much combat the ineffective or less accurate data that we get from other databases such as Apollo, ZoomInfo, Crunchbase, and so forth. So we use Grata, or Grata, however you want to pronounce it again, to pretty much validate if the companies we found are actually within the criteria. For example, if I want to find companies that sell watches, I can run the list through Grata and say, hey, find me all of the companies that actually sell watches, and eliminate all of the ones that do not. And so it is an upcoming tool. It has been very helpful to us. The last tool I'm going to mention as upcoming is our B2B, which is a retargeting tool. They are able to find the people that have been to your website and tell you their email, right? So if someone has visited your website, they will fingerprint match them, try to figure out who this person is, and give you their information so that you can send them a retargeting email. Think of it like whenever you open an e-commerce website, you put something in your checkout cart and you receive an email after. This tool does the same, but without you having to go in and add something to the checkout, okay? Because if you're a marketing agency, you don't have a checkout. You may have a book a call form, but then you could get your data, the data yourself. Anyways, it's a tool that's upcoming. We haven't found it to be extremely accurate, but so far it's been decent and it's been working. So yes, it also made it to this list. Now, what do you do from here? What I recommend is take one of these tools, start using them, see what kind of results you get. I recommend launching your campaigns on Instantly or Smartlead. And if you're curious about how to do that, there's a video down below for both of the tools, how to use them. We love both. And also make sure you're launching some relevant campaigns with Clay plus the tools above. So there is also a video on that link down below on how to use Clay. I mentioned this video already before. Strongly recommend you check it out. And also, I will leave this as a last note. If you really, and I emphasize, really want to take things to the next level or start your own B2B lead generation agency, make sure you go ahead and you check out growb2b.com. It will tell you everything you need to do. That is our info product. That's where we coach everyone that wants to take this to the next level on how to do exactly that. Now, I'll leave you with that. I hope you found a lot of value in this video. If you have any questions, drop them in the questions and comments down below. Happy to help. And I'll pass the work back to Michael. See you in the next one. Thank you.
And there you have it. Those are the top lead generation tools we use. Now, if you do want to work with us, there is a link below. And if you want to sign up for any of these tools or see our tutorials on them, those are also in the description. Thanks for watching and leave any questions in the comments.